Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jolé Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet. And we would like to welcome you to today's show, where we have a lot in store for you, and it involves a lot of science and spirituality. John is going to tell us more about it.
Yes, we're focusing on this little bit of science this time around, but the way I'm looking at it, it's wisdom from this side of the veil and definitely from the other side of the veil as well, because there's a big slice of that I think is really thought-provoking and liberating. And to me, that is really important because when we take a step back and if we identify these things as truth, then all of a sudden the pressure is off. You can find that joy, the fun of life a lot easier when you kind of hear things like this. So to me, this is what it's all about because we know that the world is, around us is still in a state of chaos, which may well accelerate in a variety of ways, because that is this era that we're in. One cycle is ending, the next one is beginning, but it happens through a degree of chaos. That energy of chaos is out there, and how we tackle that energy of chaos is pretty much down to us because you can transmute it into beautiful, positive things, and at the same time, you could also drop into fear, and then that kind of has a very different kind of reaction. And that's one of the things that we're going to be covering off today as well. Care of Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton. They talk about that very thing. And it just tells you about the importance of elevating your emotions and your frequencies. And, the fact is there's a scientific approach to it. There's a less scientific approach, and I think they both work. But this is what the science does. It tells you why it works. So that is in itself quite empowering. So that's what we have for you today. And we're going to start with a gentleman called Andy Petro. And we featured him a long time ago, like literally, well over 2 years ago, because I found this so fascinating. And I just think it's such a great example to come back to. He had a near-death experience, and I'll tell you that as we build into part one. Before we do that, can I just ask Jolé, is there anything you want to add to this before we step over to Andy?
For all my American chums, as you would say, John, we just
Yes.
want to help you keep your vibration and frequency elevated now because this is a time to do that with what's going on. So hopefully you can get a lot out of this show as we move forward.
Yes, indeed. American chums, British chums, European chums, wherever you happen to be, just
Yes,
we're grateful to have you on the journey with us, whether you're here live with us, and we're very grateful for those who are. But at the same time, recognizing that not everybody can do that. So we're very grateful for those who watch us on the recording as well. So
absolutely.
thank you for
Yes, but
bringing.
just wanted to give a little
Mm.
extra love as to what is going on right now. So that's why the shout out was for the American
Oh
chums.
yeah, no, I totally get it. I know my daughter Stephanie over in Los Angeles has been going through so much of the density over there.
Yes,
Um, and it's certainly mirrored to a degree in Europe and the UK, but I think that America has cornered up the market in it to some degree.
right now, yes. So we want to raise that vibration so we could hopefully bring some peace and a little bit more joy to our lives right now.
Exactly, exactly. And it takes us a further step to heaven on earth or a world of unspeakable beauty, whichever
Yes,
way you look at it, right?
yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do then, we're going to head over to Andy Petro. This comes, as I say, from a video actually that it was recorded in 2022 initially, but this goes to a near-death experience that Andy had when he was 18 years old back in 1955. He was born in 1937, the same year that my dad was born, coincidentally. But that's the point at which he died. But clearly not forever, because here he is talking about his near-death experience. So just to give you the backdrop, which I've kind of missed out in the original part of the video, just for the sake of brevity, is that Andy had gone off to college down with his friends to the lake and they were swimming. And his friends were out on a raft some way out into the lake and he started to swim towards them. During that time, he started to cramp up, and the next thing he was underwater And the next thing, he was heading down towards the bottom of the lake. And he was getting to the bottom of the lake and he was panicking. And that is where we're going to join Andy now. So imagine, bottom of the lake, panicking. And let's see what happens next. So bear with me a second. We're on our way to join Andy. Hold your breath, everybody.
That's all I ask, is one breath of air. And the voice says to me, Andy, you really need to rest. So just relax and let go. And I said, I can't do that. And the voice says again, you need to let go. And so I say to the voice, okay, do you promise that if I let go, I'll be able to get to the top? And the voice says to me, if you let go, everything will be fine. I said, okay, you promise? And the voice says, yes, I promise. So then I said, okay, I'll let go. And the moment that the word go formed in my mind, I popped out of my body, and in what I call a moment of no time, I'm at one point I'm in my body, and at the next point I'm in this tunnel. And I don't remember going to the tunnel. It was just, now I'm in my body, now I'm in the tunnel. And in the tunnel, I'm warm, I'm happy, I can breathe again. I'm just filled with the joy and unconditional love. It was so stark. It was such a change from complete terror to complete ultimate ecstasy in a minute of no time. And I'm just so completely happy. I look down and I can see a body, and I'm saying, it's funny, I can see that because it was dark down there. And I look and, yep, that's my body. I don't care. I look, and I didn't care. At the moment that I saw my body at the bottom of the lake, I didn't care about my life. I didn't care about being on earth because I knew I was home. And then I turned in the other direction. And now I'm looking at a spot of light. And the light is not very big, but it is so bright it should be burning my retinas. And I'm saying, wow, now that's a bright light, but it doesn't hurt. And now I feel myself being drawn like a magnet, like a giant magnet. The magnet's pulling me through the tunnel, and I'm starting to get closer to the light. And then all of a sudden, in a moment of no time, I'm no longer in the tunnel. Now I'm in the middle of a giant sphere about the size of a soccer coliseum, huge. And I'm hovering in the middle of this ball, in the inside of the ball. And around it, all 360 degrees, everywhere I look, are little motion picture screens of all of my lives and of all of the things that I'm doing. And the light is next to me. I don't see it, but I feel it and I know it's there. And the light and I start to communicate about all of these events in all of my lives. And I could see them all, and nothing was confusing. I understood everything. I could understand all the lifetimes. I could understand all the things it is. And when I would focus on any one particular screen, I would relive it. Only now, as I'm reliving it knowing the feelings and the effect that I have on the people that I'm communicating with in that scene. So if I'm with my family and talking to them about something, I know what they're thinking as I'm talking. So that, because nothing's hidden, nothing is unknown, everything is transparent. And I go from all my various lives, from being female, from being on other planets, on and on. And it seemed like I was there for months. But obviously in Earth time, I was only drowned for somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here saying this. And then as I'm looking at these things, finally, in another moment of no time, now I'm not in a sphere, I'm back in the tunnel. And now I'm really close to the light. I'm as close to the light as I am to the screen on my computer. And I'm standing there, and the light says, Andy, I love you. And I'm impressed because it knows my name. And then the light says, Andy, we love you. And when the light says, we love you, the whole background and the light kind of disappear. And now there are thousands and millions and trillions of other lights, just like me. And they say in one chorus, welcome home, Andy. And at that point in time, I was absorbed into the light. I became the light. I wasn't greater than the light. I wasn't less than the light. I was a piece, a holographic piece of the light. And it's the most fantastic feeling that as a human, I could ever imagine. It's indescribable. And at that moment, I knew everything. What do you mean, Andy? I mean, I knew everything. There was nothing I did not know. So people often ask me questions. Well, when you were in the light, did you ask them about the war and peace and all? I said, no, I didn't ask them. There's no reason to ask questions because I knew it all. There was nothing that was unknown. And now I'm with the light, and the light is really funny. The light has a fantastic sense of humor, laughter, fun. When we were looking at my life review in the big sphere, the light would say, Andy, look how upset you got over that. You know, in the long run, it doesn't mean anything. Why don't you loosen up? Why don't you lighten up? Why don't you have more fun while you're on the planet? You're only going to be there for a little while because it's not real. Earth life is not real. It's like a play. It's like a movie. There's 8 million actors on the planet, and they're all playing a role. They come with different costumes, different religions, different races, different sex, different, all of these things. But once the costumes are gone and taken off, when the play is over and you're back in the light, the costume comes off, and what do you know? We're all one. We are all the same. We're made out of the same stuff. There is no difference between me and you. There is no difference between you and anybody else. There is here. We're dressed in costumes to be different, to experience things that you can't experience in the light. You can't experience something that you already know. I can't experience talking for the first time because I've been talking all my life. But when I first started to talk, when I said my first couple of words, that was really exciting to me. When I'm in the light and knowing things, it's different than experiencing them. So in order to experience, the light tells me that, and I know anyway because I know everything. I lower my vibrations because everyone has their own unique vibration. That's what makes you and me different. Lower my vibrations so that I can incarnate and be born on a planet like Earth and now live a life doing things, experiencing things that I would like to experience. And when I experience them, you experience them, everybody experiences them. It's contributed to the whole. There is only one. And everything that exists, that ever exists, that will exist is in that oneness.
So what I love about Andy's near-death experience is that it provides a fantastic perspective for those of us who are caught up in the earth dramas. If you accept these things to be true, you are accepting that we are aspects of the light, the great central sun, God, or whatever other name you would apply to the ultimate creative force. So, from a super high vibrational aspect of the light, which sounds like enormous fun, we get to create a desired life path for ourselves in this amazing play that we call life on Earth. Then by slowing down our vibration, we get to occupy our physical body for the duration of this specific lifetime. To add to the challenge, the veil of forgetfulness descends at the time of our birth, and we get programmed and conditioned into the false matrix that exists today. Some come into a dark role seeking to perpetuate the control agenda, and others come to shine a light into the darkness. Whatever your role, we are given the opportunity to awaken to a fantastic truth. We are all one. We are all aspects of the divine, and we choose, in broad terms, what our life will look like, along with the challenges and the opportunities for soul growth. Free will means that it is up to us to decide if we take the opportunities that come our way. The main thing is to have fun with it. Remember, everyone chose their specific challenges pre-birth. So the most powerful thing we can do individually is to find our joy whenever possible, and it is easy to find when you're looking for it. And help others feel better about themselves too, whenever the opportunity arises. Don't take it all too seriously. We're here to experience a contrast of emotions and challenges we can never face once we return to the light. So have fun with it, because to be here at this time of planetary ascension is an enormous honor. We are truly blessed. Simply play your role out in the most joyful way, and you are honoring that opportunity that you have been gifted. Anyway, Jolé, what would you care to add?
It's beautiful when we speak about awakening, especially the way in which he described it as being a part of this light energy. And although we may have veils in the flesh and we're in this body and fail to remember our greatness, it is there for us and it is within us. And some of the tools to help us get there are through our breath and through meditation and creative visualization. Because believe it or not, a part of this was taking place in his mind, it would seem, right? Because his body was still there. So consciousness, where does it lie? We know consciousness, I guess, is in every cell of the body. However, this is something that once we get our thoughts awakened and aligned with our most loving good, then we are able to not only expand ourselves, but be of service to others. And this truly is the bridge. So we know that bridging the mind and the heart is such a major component in awakening and an enlightened state. And how do you do that? You begin to open up, get your chakras balanced and aligned, learn about your soul architecture, how important your breath is. And not only that, learning to smile. That in and of itself brings so much awakening and it attracts joy. So even just remembering to smile throughout your day is very attractive, and it brings in positive life force energy.
Yeah, truly powerful. One of the simplest things you can do, and yet it can change the world around you for the benefit of yourself and others, right?
Correct. We all think this is so difficult at times, but if we just take it back to its basics, awakening is right there from the very beginning.
Yeah, and Andy's helping us to understand this and regain our perspective. So thank you, Jolé. That's wonderful. Okay, on to the next part.
And it's a wonderful, exciting, fantastic experience that I remember in using this costume called Andy Petro, of Ukrainian descent, living in the United States of America in 2022. And I'm reading my script and doing what I'm supposed to do while I'm still here, waiting until my character is done with this story and I can get out of here and get back where I belong. So that whole process of being in the light was just incredible. And it seemed like I had been there for years, maybe hundreds of years. But in the light, since there is no time, there is no hierarchy, there is no judgment, there is no separation. We're all one, not in a dull, boring way, but in a happy, exciting, ever evolving, ever new experiences in the light. And then all of a sudden, the light says to me, Andy, you have to go back. I said, whoa, no. You got the wrong guy. I'm not going back. And the light says the second time, Andy, you're going back. And I said, didn't you hear what I said? There's no reason for me to go back to that planet. I'm home. And the light says to me the third time, Andy, you're going back. And when I heard the word back, the K in back, I felt myself being stuffed back into my body. The most horrible feeling that I can ever imagine. Just as the most exhilarating experience I could ever imagine was when I left my body back and went back into the light. the most horrible one that I've experienced was going back into my body. I didn't want to be there. The joy and the ecstasy of being in the light is there are no words. Everyone will know because everyone will get that experience, because we all come here, we all go back, and we do it over and over again in various permutations, in various galaxies, in various worlds, whatever. So I'm still really wondering and waiting to get back home. That's my whole point. I want to go back home. And obviously it's going to happen soon. In the meantime, I'm doing the best I can to, number one, feel joy whenever possible. Why I'm here isn't important. What's important is that I am here, and what I'm choosing to do is help people feel better about themselves and help get them to know that there is a home. I've been there, and I'm ready to go back. I got the return ticket in my back pocket, carry it with me all the time. As soon as I find out where the flight is, I'm on it. I'm out of here. So anyway, that's what it means to me. It's a very, very happy process. I'm just waiting in a good way, waiting for the return home. And it's so obvious to me, and it's so simple for me. I like being happy. I like being silly. I like joy, because when I remember the light was a happy place. The light was filled with joy and humor. I say that the light's like the greatest stand-up comic there is, because the light told me the reason why I'm here is to experience joy. And the reason why why I exist at all is to be joy. And it's very simple. It's not complicated. It's choosing to love rather than hate. It's the choice. And while I'm here, what I'm trying to do more often than not is choose love over hate. Can't do it all the time, because I'm a human being like everybody else. But I can try to do it more often than not, love over hate. Smile rather than to be angry. And there's nothing profound. It's simple acts of joy to make someone else happy. And since we are all one, when I make someone else happy, that makes me happy. When I hate someone else, I'm hating myself. If I hurt someone else, I'm hurting me. There is no separation. There is no hierarchy. We are all one. And we are all one in the light. I am a holographic piece of the light that lowers my vibrations low enough so that I could be born on a planet called Earth in the solar system in the Milky Way galaxy during the time of 1937 to 2022, which brings us to today.
So, thank you, Andy. This is what we're going to talk about now, which you see in front of you, but I am going to just pause that. Good old Andy. I'm always super grateful for basically that vision that he paints for us, because it all makes sense to me when I started looking through this and realizing that this is really what it's all about. And I'm just going to go quickly down that list that we had from Andy's learning points. And the first one really is to experience joy whenever it's possible, right? And we talked about this a myriad of times over the last years, months, whatever. And it's always the challenge when we see density around us, when we see the challenges, when you look at the news and it gives you every reason to be fearful, to feel the division, to feel the anger, or whatever else is being fed to you, spoon-fed to you, the narrative that they want you to believe. But the bottom line is, as we know, we can climb on board our eagle's perch and we can choose to see it for what it is and still be in joy. Because when we're radiating that joy, we are radiating a high frequency energy, which is then shared with the collective, right? Because we are all the sum total of the collective of 8 billion different versions of life being fed into that's collective consciousness. So the more that we can affect that from a positive perspective, then the better it is. He also was told, help people feel better about themselves. And part of the reason for that is that, if you make someone else happy, because there is no separation, you're also making yourself happy as well, because we are all one. Simple stuff. Choose love rather than hate, because to hate another is to hate yourself. Smile rather than be angry. And that's something that Jolé mentioned in the previous break as well. Smiling is contagious because whoever picks up on it will then pass it on to somebody else. And before long, it's sweeping across your environment in the most positive way, happy. We are human and not designed to be perfect, so don't worry about it. We are born with our challenges because that's why we're here. We're here to experience something that you can't do. When you're the light on the other side and you are living in a world of unconditional love, here we come down for an experience of duality and separateness. Why would we do that? Well, because you need the perspective. You need to have the contrast in order to experience, to enjoy the light as much as we do when we eventually go home to the other side. You experience the contrast here. You experience the darkness. You experience the emotional spiral all the way down from fear and hate and all that kind of stuff, all the way to unconditional love and joy and happiness at the top end. And the more we can experience the top end of that as we learn what this is all about, then the more joyous this journey becomes, and the whole thing becomes a self-perpetuating kind of cycle, which is kind of what we want. Hierarchy does not exist. We are all equal. And again, on the planet, it does not feel that way, but it is true. Said it before. Whether you're the president or whether you are a homeless person struggling with addiction, the value is the same because they're all aspects of the same light. That's what the new earth is all about. The death experience is a very happy process and takes us home, says Andy. And you can see he can't wait to cash in his return ticket. And I know it's a beautiful experience. I know it is. And, we offer that elevated planet money back guarantee with that as well. Nobody's ever claimed on it. So I think that's true. Death is a beautiful thing, but that's not to say we look forward to that necessarily, because at the end of the day, life is a blessing. Life is here to be enjoyed. Life is here to be experienced. Once we transcend, also, we understand everything. So there's nothing you don't know. So which means that, yes, we are aspects of God, right? We are aspects of the ultimate creator, and God is whole, and we become part of that, and we understand everything. There is no judgment in the higher realms. So when we do our life review, there's no criticism other than self-criticism. I think that when we experience what others have experienced as a result of what we've said and done. Humor, laughter, and fun are natural parts of the higher realms, and that's what we want in our life. And I love that Elevated Planet can help to elevate people to that point as well. If we're bringing a bit of humor, laughter, and fun along the way, that is such an important thing. Our physical bodies are just the costumes for this play of life, for this incarnation. It's amazing to think that this is a play. But the more you think about that, the more liberating it becomes. The easier it is to kind of face what we have going on around us, because we learn not to take it too seriously. This lifetime is but the blink of an eye in the totality of our immortal existence. So, that's why we're happy to come here, because regardless of how it may feel dense from time to time here when we're facing off against our challenges, the fact is, this is just a temporary experience, that we do this for soul growth. We experience many lifetimes on Earth and on other worlds and galaxies, says Andy. And again, anybody who's read the work of Dolores Cannon knows that to be true. So it's a crazy thing to think, because we just imagine that while we're here for the human experience, that in order to be alive, you have to be in a physical body. And now we know that is definitely not true. So we are all one in the light, and everything and everyone is connected. And I do love that. We are just aspects of this great central sun, this light, this piece of light energy where the vibration is slowed down to a point where it can come into a physical realm, which means it has to slow down an awful lot. But nevertheless, that's how it is. So we ultimately are all light. So, and he said, there are no words that can do justice to the joy and the ecstasy of the afterlife. And we all have a return ticket to paradise. So I just love that. I just love that perspective, because when we're being confronted by chaos, as we are on the planet right now, it's just nice to think that it doesn't have to be that way. We can really just enjoy life and, just make the most of it. And again, this collective thing, this collective consciousness, if we apply ourselves into those high frequency energies, absolutely we can create our world of unspeakable beauty, because all we got to do is step away from the narratives that we're being fed, realize how powerful we are, exercise our individuated expression in its most powerful form, and then come together as a collective energy. And wow, this is going to be amazing. We're going to cover that off a lot more next week as well as it happens. So stay tuned for that one. But having said all that, Jolé, can I bring you in, please?
Absolutely. I think Andy Petro and what he is talking about and believing in is quite incredible, because to map it out like this, it's really putting a lot of some of these things that we believe in, or our pathologies and dogmas, however you want to look at them, belief systems, what we've been programmed, it just takes it all and dissolves it. Experience joy. It just lets you know you are so powerful, especially those of you that work like I did in a corporate setting. You are familiar, John.
Absolutely.
It can get very heavy, the energy. And those people that are able to maintain and bring joy there, we thank you. And that's a place where if we can bring joy into the workspace, where we spend more time practically with our colleagues and with our family, that is really helpful in raising the vibration all around us. Relax and have fun, move, get some exercise, take a walk, go in nature, and really try to uplift others. It's all it takes is a nice word, a hello. It's very simple, all of these things, and to choose love rather than hate. It's like it begins with us. I know for me, when I'm upset and hateful, there's something going on here. And so those moments, we always want to don't hate, don't hate. They always say if there was no dark, we wouldn't know light. If there was no hate, maybe we wouldn't know love. I'd rather transition to a timeline where that's not necessary so much. However, sometimes it is a barometer of what we need to work on, And although we are all really afraid of death, I know I am. I'm do this work, but to think about the loved ones that I have in my life passing or me passing, that is not a pleasant thought.
No.
But working to sort of maybe change this thought process to realize that you're all a part of everything. And once you really embody that with a sense of joy and understanding, then you're just transitioning to another level. But a lot of times I've learned as a theta healer, our blocks are from our fear of death. Almost every issue we have, at the bottom of it was our fear of death. The fact our mom didn't hug us, we felt like we were going to die, right? So now we have levels to the trauma. So really working on understanding maybe, or coming to peace with the fact that you may pass on, is also very elevating and uplifting, because then the veils begin to dissolve, And so we're definitely on planet Earth to learn and grow. I've been here for a very short period of time, and I'm constantly learning and growing. But one of the things that has helped me the most is when I have negative thoughts, I ask myself, how can I turn this into something better? I deserve something better. And so I go back to that self-love. Like I'll think I want to complain, or I want to put myself down, and I'll be like, you know what? You're a blessing. When you start talking about yourself or another person, basically what you're doing is disrespecting God, the divine, because the divine made that person. The divine created that. The divine created you. So when you start hating on yourself or others, that means that you're basically like disrespecting God. So really think about that in a way and learn how to turn those negative thoughts into like, wait a minute, let me back up. I deserve this. that person deserves better. I'm better than this. Like that language has really helped.
Yeah.
And lastly, we all have a return ticket, to paradise. Why is that? Because it starts within. I will always believe that. And I speak about this so much because I want to embody it. I'm not there yet. I'm on a journey. And paradise, I can say maybe I'm a little bit over 50% of the way there on the inside. However, I have more work to do. And paradise looks like loving myself, accepting others, allowing for them to and their free will to expand, and also teaching and always, trying to look people in the eye and smile and give people good energy, because guess what? It comes back. So Andy's really on to something. So I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity. John, thank you for introducing me to this, and Andy and his little list, not little, his big expanded list of his near-death experience.
Yes.
And what he learned from that.
Yeah, and I find it very liberating when I look down there and you realize that you can relax into life a lot more. That's the intention of it, right? And it isn't easy because we do get misguided programming and conditioning throughout life. Because then we have to start the process. This is part of the awakening process, the remembering process, that we're so much more that we've been encouraged to believe. And you start to step back into your own power and your own magnificence. That is where it becomes truly liberating. And I think it helps when you understand that, this is just a journey, right? Which is the blink of an eye in eternity, but very much the case that while we're here to enjoy it, and realize that it's quite feasible despite what we see around us. So, this is the ongoing challenge, and I just know that you never stop learning right through to the very final day, and I find that so exciting.
Yes. And the beauty of it is it's in our hands, and it all starts, well, I mean, they say in the mind, but maybe it's the heart. Maybe it starts there with the soul yearning for things, and then the mind is trying to create that for you.
Mm.
So if you really dig into the thoughts and trying to pivot them in a way that supports you, that the grass grows and the garden grows and things expand, then that's what's called what? The law of attraction. And so work on your thoughts. Like I'm saying that to me more than anybody else. Jolé, work on your thoughts, because that's the stuff of manifestation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's a really important point right now as well, because we're going to be heading towards Dr. Joe and Bruce, aren't we?
Yes.
So when we talk about thoughts and we talk about emotions and we talk about the science that sits behind that, do you think that time is upon us now that we should step over to Dr. Joe?
Absolutely.
Right. That is what we're going to do, everybody. We are now going to bring in Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is amazing, and also Bruce Lipton, PhD as well. So a cellular biologist extraordinaire, because those two working together to make these particular points in these next few minutes, I think really do dovetail quite nicely and tell us again a little bit more behind the science of what this is about. What do you reckon, Jolé? Is it anything you want to add to that?
Oh, no, I think that they will sum it up nicely, as did you.
Thank you so much. Right, okay, I'm going to switch my camera off and we are going to go to the next part. Bear with me a second.
We now know that if you give people sound scientific information, and that is the contemporary language of mysticism, and they can learn that information, they're basically making new circuits in their brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new synaptic connections. But if you don't review what you learn, if you don't repeat it, it's so much easier to forget it than to remember it. So you got to repeat it over and over again. So we allow people in our workshops to then begin to turn and teach it back to somebody. They have to really explain it. If they can't explain it, it's not wired in their brain, and something's going to be left to conjecture, to superstition, to dogma, to spirituality, and that's not the result we want. We want them to use science as that model, and if they can explain that model and remind themselves what they've learned, reproduce the same level of mind, nerve cells that fire together, wire together. So they begin to install the neurological hardware in their brain so that they are prepared for an experience. So then, if that information is installed in their brain, that philosophy, that theory, that knowledge and information, and now they can remember it, and they have that model of understanding, and they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. If we can set up the conditions in the environment and give them the proper instruction, if they can get their behaviors to match their intentions, if they can get their actions equal to their thoughts, if they can get their mind and body working together, they're going to have a new experience. Now, experience enriches circuitry in the brain. That's what experiences does. The moment those neurons begin to string into place, though, another part of the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And the moment you feel unlimited, the moment you feel grateful, the moment you feel empowered, the moment you feel whole, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. The information is just not in the brain now. The information now is literally in the body. And now you're embodying the truth of that knowledge, of that philosophy, of that theory. So then you're teaching your body and instructing your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Okay, so then that information that's coming as a new experience is changing your biology in some way, and we've actually shown this. So then if you've done it once, then it means you should be able to do it again. And the idea is to be able to repeat an experience. And if you can repeat it over and over again, both neurologically and chemically, neurochemically, you can condition your mind and body to begin to work as one. And when you can do it so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind, it's innate in you.
People say, okay, Bruce, you're studying cells in a plastic petri dish. What does that have to do with me? It doesn't make a difference to the cell if it's in a plastic dish or a skin dish. It still responds to environmental signals. So the environment is controlling the cells. But between the environment and the cells is the mind, and that does interpretation. If you open your eyes and see someone you love, your mind interprets love, and you release beautiful chemicals. Dopamine for pleasure, oxytocin for bonding. If I take the chemicals from brain that perceives love and put them into a plastic petri dish, the cells grow beautifully. If I take the chemicals from a brain that perceives fear, the cells stop growing and they start dying. So you're the one whose thoughts change the chemistry, and the chemistry controls the genetics. So all of a sudden, you're not a victim of your genes, you're the master of your genes.
So, Dr. Joe and Bruce, and I love the way that one dovetails into the other. We've used that clip from Bruce a couple of times, and it is really very impactful because it's powerful. You know, as a cellular biologist of some 50 odd years, you know, what he's discovered along the way is really empowering. And, you know, I like this idea where Dr. Joe talks about teaching it back. He gets his students to then turn to each other and start to explain it. No, I get it, you know, and then they explain it, because it also makes me understand and appreciate that when I do these weekly events, and I'm working with Jolé to do this, so I have to explain these things. So I go deep onto the subject matter, and then I have to keep explaining it back to myself, so that by the time I'm explaining it to the audience, then I have it ingrained. I have it in like I've made my neural connections on this particular point. And that's how you learn and you grow. And I do find that even when I'm just reading books and things like that, and I come across points that I hadn't appreciated before, I end up like I have this mental conversation in my mind with myself as if I'm explaining it to myself. And it just crossed my mind, why I do that. And the reason is maybe just to help in that ingraining process. And obviously that was an unconscious thing. That wasn't something I'd considered until listening to Dr. Joe do this particular piece. And oh, by the way, that entire interview, which was 2 hours long, will be available through the newsletter. So you can see that in its totality, because obviously there's a little more, there's another section of that we use before we go into Jolé's meditation. But again, that repetition, that ability to be able to explain it. But the repetition is important, and obviously building a practice around that, which again is what Jolé talks to us about as well, because with our guided meditations, it's not just a one and done. Repeat it. go back in, build those neurological connections all the time. And then the emotions that that brings are what gives you the chemical reaction, right? So this is what they're talking about, both Dr. Joe and Bruce, saying, depending on the, the quality of the emotions that you're enjoying when you go through the visualization process, or when you actually go through explaining this, that is what feeds your body chemically. So you then embody this. And if you are thinking those high frequency emotions, then as Bruce says, you're getting that oxytocin and all the good chemicals that are really helping you to be the best version of yourself. Whereas if you fall for, say, the narrative that may be fed out on the news, and you're getting into anger, despair, rage, whatever it would be, or fear, it's actually killing your cells. It's not, it's what brings illness upon you, because it gets your body out of balance, out of harmony. So it tells you that we have the power to decide what we are going to accept as our reality, and to work on the things that we want rather than the things that are necessarily being presented to us. So, and it also crossed my mind, it had me reaching for my little red book over here, which is what I took when I went over last year to the Gregg Braden event over in Sedona. Because remembering that Gregg also covered this off to a degree as well, because he was talking about mirror neurons. He was talking about when your mind is in a place where you are strongly visualizing something, then basically your mirror neurons reflect that as if it were genuine reality. So the mere fact that you're not having that experience yet, you're building those synaptic kind of pathways that actually, are starting to bring that closer to you. So that was kind of, and one of the things that he also said about that was that it takes 72 hours to rewire our neurons. And they have these dendrites that actually create these connections. And it takes 72 hours to reach out to the neuron to create a new neural network. So that's how long, 3 days where you're coming back to the same thing. You're going to the same practice. You're building, you're building, you're building. Then all of a sudden you've got something there that will last. So, I do find this really interesting. I find it's one of those things, again, that really helps us to take control of our own environment and the way that we look at life. So, Jolé, what would you care to add?
I just love the science aspect of the energy healing and the quantum physics of it all, because it lends credence to why we want to continue to practice. Because let me let you know, some of these blocks, these lifetimes, past lives, whatever it is, it could seem like molasses. You're wearing concrete shoes trying to manifest and get to where you want to go. But when you see people like Bruce Lipton tell you about a petri dish or a skin dish, it doesn't matter. It's what you put in your environment. It boomerangs us back to thought, how we feel about ourselves, how we're treating other people, the reverence we have for nature. These things matter. And then we move into Dispenza and the morphogenic field, and how our thoughts, when we practice and layer the positives upon each other, can have us there. And then we start to manipulate things in our lives to bring in the laws of attraction. So I just think it just gives credence to the fact that meditation, creative visualization, and miracles are real. They have scientific basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes it so exciting,
Yes.
and I think that's why, and again, I mentioned that like next week we were going to be doing some more work on that, like morphogenic field kind of thing, and working out how, again, as a community, we can
Yes.
encourage people to come together on a regular basis to really, impact the quantum field out there with so much positive energy.
Yeah.
The world of unspeakable beauty gets ever closer, or our, the heaven on earth, right? Which is what we're
Yes.
talking about this week.
Absolutely. And we have, angels on earth like Jim Self, who has his park bench meditation you can
Yes.
join. And we big up the Pam Gregory, who has her Sunday. So we have these angels and people in place that are here to help us elevate our energy and practice.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that it's really interesting, actually. I think the planet is festooned at the moment with high frequency energy coming from a variety of places, whether they,
Yes.
be, the hybrids who've come in, the star seeds who've come in. And then there's us, because there's like, as you say, Jolé, there can be ancestral baggage that we're carrying and clearing as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I had a friend that what was going on in certain countries are happening, the war, the killing, and the violence. And they're like, oh my gosh, what can I do? They were very far away from it. And
Mm,
I said to them, one of the best things you can do other than, donate, send aid, that type of thing, is be of a high vibration.
yes.
Smile, bring joy to your environment. And I understand people are like, well, how's that going to help people who are being violently killed? Energy, frequency, and vibration. You throw that pond, the principle, you throw that pond into the water, it reverberates, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with you bringing laughter and joy into your life. Those people, maybe they cannot have that at this moment, but the fact that you can is just as important, okay? And it does affect energy.
Yes, yes, it does. And I think that's one of the things that we have to appreciate. And certainly for next week, I think we will double down on that as well to show the how the quantum field is actually genuinely changed, how they could bring peace to certain circumstances that hadn't seen peace for the longest time just by having a few thousand people to
Yeah.
really focus on the energy of peace and send it that way. And they
Mhm.
proved scientifically it actually works. The quantum field exists, and we are
Yeah.
part of it.
That Lynn McTaggart, she's proven that. And Gregg Braden with what is that? The heart math and
Oh
the
yeah,
coherence. That's also been proven. And they've looked at, they can measure this. I don't know how, but I remember being at Agape and Gregg Braden says like, after 8 p.m., there's like a spike
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in that energy, and then it goes back down. But love is love. And so hopefully we'll get more of that into our life in many different ways.
yeah.
That's what raises a vibration.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is. So, Jolé, are we ready? Are
We're
we
ready.
prepped and ready for action? Because we're going back to Greg again, just to lead us into Jolé's guided meditation.
All
Okay.
right, let's go.
When your brain is exposed to information and you're present and you're paying attention, that neurons begin to connect. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new synaptic connections. The Nobel Prize research, Kandel, in the year 2000, the researcher said that if you learned one bit of information and you paid attention to that information for about an hour, you would double the number of connections in your brain as a result of your interaction with that information. But if you don't review it, if you don't repeat it, if you don't have to think about it, the circuits prune apart, right? So if learning is making new synaptic connections, and remembering is maintaining and sustaining them. So it's so much easier to forget this information than to remember it. So you learn it. Once I got a person's head nodding, then they turn to the person next to them and say, let me try this out. Let me try this out and let me see if I can repeat it. And so between the two of them, they exchange that information and they start to build a model of understanding. I understand. I got that. Okay. Then we advance the information a little bit more, and they're adding new stitches into the three-dimensional tapestry of their gray matter. And they have to remind themselves what they've learned, reproduce that same level of mind. Mind is the brain in action. As you install those neurological circuits in your brain, then now you're prepared. It's the forerunner to the experience. You're prepared for the experience. So give the proper instruction, get your body involved, get involved in the process. The experience then causes the circuits to become more enriched. That's what experience does. And then it makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And the stronger the emotion you feel from the experience, the more you remember it.
And what is that experience? What can
Abundance, health, wholeness, a mystical experience, success, a new relationship, a new career, a new life, whatever that vision that person wants to arrive at in the future, and to actually go from the thought of that vision to the actual experience of it. And the distance between that thought and that experience is called time. So if we can teach people to shorten the distance between the thought of what they want and the experience of having it, then they start believing more that they're the creator of their life.
Take a deep breath in Hold it for a moment and then exhale. Put your feet flat on the floor. For those of you laying down, please keep your feet flat for the beginning part of the meditation. Your hands on your thighs face up and begin to breathe with the rhythm of your body. Get familiar with how your body breathes. And then once you catch the rhythm, guide it, slow it down. Take in big, deep breaths through your nose. Hold it for a moment and exhale gently through your mouth. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold your breath for a moment and exhale gently through your mouth. You're breathing in positive life force energy, and you're breathing out toxins and trauma. So as you bring your awareness to the center of your chest, ground your energy between your sit bones and at your first chakra. Visualize a beautiful grounding cord of a natural earth element moving through Mother Earth and rooting into her core. And we pull in those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles and visualize them blanketing the inside and the outside of our grounding cord, while simultaneously we command for our higher self to stand at the power position above our head, our crown at a comfortable distance above it. We pull in our aura to be 1.5 feet around. It is commanded, my aura be 1.5 feet around me, and I sit inside perfectly centered, and our astral body is snapped in. Astral body needs to come back from its dream state and snap itself into our body. Now we are ready. You open your feet, visualize them opening like the lens of a camera, and you're going to pull in 15%. Your body and Mother Earth knows how much energy that is. It's going to start pooling in the bottoms of your feet. And then it's going to start to travel up the side channels of your legs. And when this happens, your crown opens automatically like the lens of a camera. And that beautiful, cosmic, divine, golden life force energy comes cascading down from the heavens, raining down on your higher self, focusing through the aura layer, down through the crown, really saturating the brain, detaching those neurotransmitters that no longer serve you, and creating attachments that bring coherence and harmony to your mind, your body, and your heart. As this essence then begins to move down the spine, lighting up each vertebrae on its way down. Unconditional love flowing down through your spine, making your nervous system and that vagus nerve knows, I feel safe. I'm being recalibrated and reprogrammed for my most loving good. I'm being aligned with my purpose. As that essence, that golden essence from the divine, and that earth energy of a color that resonates with you, representing Mother Earth, mixes in and begins to fill you up like water fills up a cup. Yes, some of that essence mixes in with that earth energy that's pooling in the bottoms of your feet and just filling you up. Feel that energy move through each one of your cells, bringing so much love and wellness into them as this combination of Mother Earth and divinity move throughout your system, moving up into reproductive organs, your stomach, your liver, moving out toxins and waste, your kidneys, moving out fear, worry in the body, bringing in beliefs, positive thoughts and beliefs, positive experiences as it moves up into the heart and the aorta, moving out any grief, any sadness, resentment, rejection, regrets, moving down that grounding cord, bringing in more unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, and unity between your mind, your body, and your heart. As this essence moves up to the shoulders, it bifurcates and separates, goes down into the fingertips, moves back up the arms and the neck, and then begins to move back up into that cranium and sprouting out your feet, hands, and the side of your crown chakras. Now things are coming in and things are going out. So work it out and see it clearly, because this is your soul architecture. And from here, as we're cleaning out our energy, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and getting clean and filled with gold light from the divine, the reality in the present moment of Mother Earth, we're now ready to commune, to pray, and to connect. So from this state of wellness, of love, and of abundance, bring your awareness back into your heart. And from this space, as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, I want you to see yourself at your zenith, doing, being, having all of the things that align you with your purpose and the laws of the universe. Breathe gently and with purpose to align with your purpose. Take a deep breath in, knowing that you are deserving of abundance, the abundance of air. Let it fill your belly and fill your lungs. And you deserve to be able to maintain that. Hold it in for a moment and let go. It's okay to release and let go of the things that no longer serve you, and even some of the things that serve you, because guess what? They're going to come right back to you. So release for good what no longer serves you, and release and see neutrality around the things that you love and desire. And as your energy goes out there, those things become magnetized. So as you breathe, again, with the rhythm of your body, in through your nose and out through your mouth, taking in the deepest breath, knowing you are worthy and deserving, and letting go, knowing that what no longer serves you dissolves, and the things that are meant for you come back, helping you to align even better with your purpose. Visualize and feel. You are worthy, you are deserving, and it is your birthright to be well, to be abundant, and to be connected. Hold this space for your most loving good. Let it etch itself in every cell of your body. As you breathe in all that beauty and that goodness, and you breathe out all of the trauma and the blocks. So as you take a deep breath in and exhale, from this moment until that third exhale, once you exhale for the third time, open that heart chakra, the double doors, and let the love that is you and that is coming from Mother Earth to you, and the divine pour out of you and into your aura layer and into your environment. As it begins to light up that toroidal field with all of those etchings of your purpose, of your lessons, of challenges, and of course, of all of your most loving good. Write on your toroidal field what it is that you want with your intentions. You are the guide and the captain of your life, and you are in control of your toroidal field and your energy. What are you attracting and magnetizing? Do you want it? If you don't, get rid of it and bring in and write on that toroidal field what it is you want, what it is you desire, what is going to better align you with that purpose. So that grid around you is a grid of safety, a grid of love and protection from negative energy. But it also is a magnet bringing in your highest good, most loving good. And then that pyramid with the capstone above your toroidal field spins, and that white light of pure bliss, joy, love, and all of the things that make up divinity encompasses you and moves out and expands into our universe. And then everything dissolves and becomes one. So all you see is just etheric energy around you. It can look like the cosmos, the ether, the clouds, but now you are a part of everything. You're a part of the grand design. And so from this state of nothingness, recreate yourself by seeing and visualizing yourself and your environment, those around you, and this universe at its most loving zenith. What does that look like? See that. Knowing that you are limitless and that you create your own reality. So now, take a deep breath in, exhale, and let that love just expand all around you. I want you to feel what it feels like to experience joy and bliss. Sit in joy at this moment. And allow for those cells to just pop, 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 with love, with joy, with positive manifestation. As you take a deep breath in and you exhale. And take another deep breath in and exhale. This time we're going to take a really deep breath in all the way down to the belly. As we hold it for a count of 4. Gently exhaling as we visualize a golden sun above our head. And in this golden sun is unconditional love and remembrance of our limitlessness. And this beautiful golden sun is just filled with divine life force energy. As that gold, heavenly, cosmic life force energy is raining down, that golden sun is inside, and that rain's going to push it down through the higher self as it focuses through the aura layer, coming down through the crown, filling up the center of the head with gold light, cleaning and clearing out worry, doubt, and fear, moving through the throat, bringing in so much truth and so much balance and harmonization of the hormones, bringing the body into wellness, moving out disease, illness, moving down into the heart, bringing so much love and joy, and moving out resentments and regrets, moving into the solar plexus, moving out low self-esteem, and bringing in so much personal power and confidence as it moves down and expands the creativity in the second chakra and the pleasure that you're able to experience while moving out any shame or guilt, moving down that golden sun into that first chakra, making it safe for you to have all the things that you want, to remain well and to maintain a state of abundance and connectivity to Mother Earth. As the rest of that golden sun moves down the grounding cord, chasing those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles into the core of Mother Earth, turning them into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use, and bringing us into the present moment. And now our grounding cord is clean, clear, filled with gold light, along with all of our chakras, and that energy is pushing out into our aura layer. So as we take a deep breath in again, and we exhale, we allow for this beautiful golden sun, this energy, to extend and expand out into our aura layer and all the way into our environment as the love just superpowers it. Just breathe with the rhythm of your body and just see you and all of your people and all of your friends and family and Mother Earth and the universe in harmony, in joy, and moving with peace, with love and unspeakable beauty all around us. Hold the space. So now, while nestled in your heart, take a deep breath in and exhale. And on that exhale, visualize the bottoms of your feet closing like the lens of the camera, and see that beautiful earth energy recede back down into Mother Earth. Take another deep breath in. really deep, deep, deep down into the belly, and hold for a count of 4. Gently exhale, pushing out any of the negativity as you then close the double doors of your heart and your hands, and you allow for some of that energy to settle in your core and your body. And take another deep breath in. Deep, deep, deep through the nose. Filling up your lungs and your belly as you hold for a count of 4. Gently exhaling as you close your crown like you would the lens of a camera and see the cosmic golden life force energy ascend back into the heavens. And when you take another deep breath in, this time exhale, and let go. As you relax and open your eyes.
Beautiful. Hand it back. Beautiful. I love that. That really was nice. You know, that idea, you know, the limitlessness really in our, you know, the fact we are responsible for creating our own reality. So let's
Yes.
make it a good one. First off, just want to say thank you to everybody for being here today, whether you are here live with us, and thank you for the comments. And also anybody who's watching us on the recording, anybody who wants to join our community, okay, and maybe get onto the distribution list for the newsletter, send me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.life, or send us a message through our website, which is elevatedplanet.life/contact, gets you to the contact page, and you can send us a message. Or if you just want to share comments and thoughts, you know, absolutely, would be delighted to hear from you. And we are always after expanding our community, because this journey to a world of unspeakable beauty, we're on our way.
Yes.
We'd love you to be there with us. So,
yes.
And what else, Jolé?
And invite your friends by liking, sharing, and subscribing, because unspeakable beauty happens to be free. So here we are.
I love it. I love it. Yes, it's all good. It's all good. Let's and I'm looking forward to next week already, because we're going to be tapping into that morphogenic field. We're going to be tapping into the quantum field, and we're going to be showing how, demonstrating both scientifically and elsewhere, how we can really impact the world around us and get us ever closer to, whether it's heaven on earth or whether it's that world of unspeakable beauty. It's all one and the same, and that's where we're heading. So,
Yes. Hallelujah.
hallelujah. Okay, you're back at agape already, all right?
Yes. Yes.
There's a spike going on right now as well in that consciousness-ometer.
Yes. Please.
Yes.
Let's maintain it.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. All right, Jolé, thank you very much. And thank you very much again to the community. We love you loads. And thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. In a week's time, we're going to do it all over again.
See you then.
See you then.